Hey moms, are you tired of having mom guilt?
Hey daughters, what do we do to make our moms feel guilty?
Let's find out.
Welcome to The Juggle is Real,
A mother and daughter show,
Episode 9,
all about parenting and mental health for.
Moms and Teen Girls.
So I thought it would be a really good idea to talk about mom guilt because this is a real thing. I actually wrote a chapter. I co-author some books with amazing, brave people who write their stories. And one book that I wrote was Strong Mothers. And the chapter that I wrote was Ditch the Mom Guilt. And it was super helpful, but guilt, just like all these emotions that we have been talking about for the past few episodes, we've been learning about how to be more emotionally intelligent. And so we are discovering that we have 6 primary emotions that all of us have, and that we can even go deeper. And what's really cool is when we can go to these emotions, what we know to be true is that we have all these emotions. But when we become emotionally intelligent, or how we become emotionally intelligent, is by starting to give voice to them. And so mom guilt, I feel, is a real thing. And it's not something that I want to make you feel guilty about. You know, when you said, how do we make moms feel guilty? That's not my intention. My intention is to help explore what makes you feel sad, how I feel like I can step up in a way because you have different needs, like I have different needs, and how we can, what we want to do on this show, right? Really hold ourselves accountable to having these conversations so we don't just have to live like this. You know what I mean? I don't want to live in guilt, and nor do I want to have you feel whatever emotion that I'm going to ask you. Okay.
Mhm.
So actually, we paused and we stopped the recording because I was actually a little surprised by what happened. And I probably shouldn't have done that. I don't want to should myself, but it was interesting. So I said to Sabrina this week, I really think we should talk about mom guilt. When you're like, oh, okay, like what? And I was just like, about like me working a lot, something that moms suffer from, mom guilt. And then what did you say?
I said you didn't work that much.
And I was like, "What does she mean I don't work too much?" Because I work at the hospital and I work at home. And working at home has been fairly a new thing, I guess, half of your life. But it's
Mhm.
something that because when I work at the hospital, I can't give anesthesia at home. Like there are some moms that can work around their schedule to go on field trips or take you to the bus stop and pick and be at
Mhm.
home to pick you up. But something that my husband and I have, because we both do the same thing, is we work in the hospital and we have shifts, which is why we try to be creative with it. But it's a natural byproduct of the lifestyle that we have chosen, that we both have working parents, the nature of our job, and really, truly the lifestyle of us living here in a very urban area and in a very expensive area. So knowing that it has been a choice to have to work. So having said that, there is guilt about not being able to show up to some things. And so when she said, here's the reason why I'm saying this. So when she said that she didn't think that I worked too much, I was like, oh, so I'm feeling guilty about things that I'm making up in my head, right? This is just like
Mhm.
this natural thing. So I'm making things up in my head. And then when we started this, what did you say? Well, I said, when I miss the things, how do you feel?
Not good.
You said not good. And then I said specifically, what kind of things?
Like my soccer game.
Or have her coming up again. So here's the deal. Okay, I'm sorry, a public apology. I am sorry about that because there are definitely, it seems like this year, definitely for rec, I would go to the games. And then for travel soccer, it was either your Sunday games were good.
Mhm.
The Saturday games were hard because I work a call every Friday. This is us being creative with our schedule, Dad and I. Typically, one of the rules that we try to do is one of us shows up for
Mhm.
something, right? Because before our oldest went to college, there was 3 of us, right? So
Mhm.
either Dad and I would tag team, he would do one or I would do the other. And it is something that I feel guilty about. And this is why we have these conversations, is because I just want to know how you feel. So how do you feel
When what?
when I'm not there?
Not loved.
Not loved, really?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by, like, not loved?
Because normally both of you guys don't go because we have a carpool and my games are farther away.
Okay, for some of the games, we don't go. Okay, no, so
Mhm.
this is good to know, Sabrina. So this means for me that I need to do better at planning ahead,
Mhm.
right? When we have a vision, and also you and I have a vision of what we want, like our life to look like. For you specifically, we were saying like the year to look like. And when I say vision, we get really clear on what a good year looks like, what a balanced year looks like in all areas of our life, right? Because for you, you don't want just a good academic
Mhm.
aspect of your life. You also want a good social life, and you also want to feel healthy in your body, which also means eating good food and then also moving your body with soccer. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And then that's the same thing for me and for everybody, is that we know what our vision is for a balanced life, how I want to show up in my work, how I want to show up in my health, my well being, how I want to show up making money and how I use my time, and how I want to show up in my relationships. And in our show, we really are learning to build these relationships through communication, because I'm learning what your vision is, and you're learning what you're learning here about my vision. And my vision is I've been trying to build a business so I can not be so tied to the hospital. But what is happening is what I'm seeing is what we're talking about is as I'm burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, because I am still working at the hospital and I'm also building this wellness business. What that also means is that my schedule has been more full. So I'm missing more things, because one of the creative things that dad and I have done with our schedule is that I work a call on Fridays, which typically mean that I lose sleep, which then means I end up missing things because most of your games are on the weekends. And this is why I'm really glad that we have this call, because we make ourselves accountable to having this show. Because I would just think in my mind that you would understand that we be creative about this, so that way we support the other things, making money, right? And having more time when I do the full call, basically 3 shifts in one day on Friday, is that it opens up more time on the week for me to be off. But then also, see, then that means that I miss things. So this is good. And when this is good, when you're saying that you don't feel loved, you feel left out, that becomes a part that's going to stay with you, that you're going to carry on later in life, right? Right. What? Are you mad at me? What?
I feel bad
Why do you feel bad?
because I feel selfish.
Just Sabrina, don't feel selfish. I feel terrible because I feel like I'm the one being selfish, that I want to do it all in a way. You know what I mean? I want to be able to have you wear your Lululemon shorts. I work extra. No, this is, no, honestly, this is, and I really didn't expect this to have it. But what I was saying is later in life, when you can say this, and I know this because one of the things that my mom had to do is she did work nights and she had to sleep. And so some of the things that like I felt like when she wasn't there to do my hair, right? Or
Mhm.
do something. And so when I would show up for places and wherever it is, and somebody would compliment me on my hair, I would actually say my mom did it, you know, because it was like a need. It was a need for my mom. And I don't want my mom to feel bad. That's not that.
Mhm.
But it was something that I would see other moms do. So what you're seeing is other moms show up for games. And I do feel bad. So guilt is a real thing. And here's what I want to say is that how we learn to work with the guilt, because guilt is a form of sadness. Because when we have the emotional wheel here, we have guilt. We talked about this, the emotional wheel. It's a form of sadness. And when you go from guilt, when you go from sadness, you move into guilt and you go into other emotions. And one of the emotions is a form of shame. And why I wanted to bring this up today, because then something else happened today with mom guilt, is that we go to church as a family on Sundays. And Sabrina feels very strongly about being Catholic, and prayer has what we call in the polyvagal world. It's one of those a eventual vagal impact on your nervous system. It makes you feel grounded. It makes you feel super safe. It makes you feel protected. and makes you feel calm. And I know that is a really important aspect for you. When I grew up Catholic, dad's Irish Catholic, and we go. And I have such respect for being Catholic and just for me, and just to be completely transparent, I don't 100% agree with all the teaching. However, I believe in a higher power. Like I said, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in Christ consciousness. And I actually love going to church because it supports my vision of being with family and supporting you because I know how important it is. Okay, so today I wasn't going to go to church, right? I wasn't going to go because, again, it's the schedule, and I was feeling like I was burning the candle at both ends. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to take the time to get things organized at home, and Sabrina and I and the family will do other things. I was late. I said to my husband, I'll just meet you guys there because in my mind, I was thinking maybe I can still do it. And then what happened was I got out of the shower late and I was thinking, I don't want to show up late. And I was thinking to myself, is it going to serve me to go to church showing just chaotic and not wanting to be at church? I could probably do some meditation, be with God. That would serve me better. So I sent my husband a message and he said, and he doesn't make me feel guilty by any means. And he said, that's fine. He goes, they asked us to bring the offerings to the priest. And the offerings is the
Bread
host,
and wine.
the bread and wine that the priest is going to bless, right?
Mm.
And then immediately, not only do I have Catholic guilt growing up, that's just wired in my nervous
Mhm.
system. Do you have Catholic guilt? You know what Catholic
Yes.
guilt is, right? And then immediately I was like, "Oh, no." And so I was struggling in my mind, and this is again why a vision is so important, is because I was thinking, "You know what? I need to go." And I don't wanna should anybody, but I was like, "I need to go because it's gonna, 1, support my vision," right?
Mhm.
Of being with family, taking the time to pause and reflect and still cultivate in you and our youngest son that having a time to pause and meditate is really important. And also to be there with my family, which a family's a huge core value of mine. So, anyways, I ended up going because I was thinking, oh my God. So here we go. Guilt is a real thing and it's really supports the show. But how I really wanted to end today is how we can really understand the difference between guilt and shame, and 2, how do we work with those 2 tricky emotions, right? So, guilt is something I'll let Sabrina explain. What's guilt?
Guilt is the feeling of responsibility or remorse for doing something wrong or causing harm, whether it was accidental or intentional.
Yeah, so it's about like an action that you feel remorseful about, right? So for Catholic guilt is not going to church on Sunday, and obviously all the other teachings of the Catholic Church of what you can feel guilty about. Yeah, we feel guilty about all the stuff that we do. That's what we feel guilty about, as opposed to shame. Shame is something about we actually believe in our character, and it's an attack on our character. So why I wanted to bring this up again is specifically for me, helping with mom
Mhm.
guilt, because I'm not a bad mom. It's just I have these emotions and I'm learning from you what you need and how I can make an adjustment with my schedule to support you. And then also for you, Sabrina, what are you juggling this week?
Retaking my math test.
Okay. You're retaking your math test and you're retaking your driver's ed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're taking your driver's permit. Okay. And why I'm asking her to bring the juggle, which she's juggling this week, because again, what was your vision?
Be driving
Yeah,
and straight A's.
to be driving and then also to get straight A's.
Mm.
And this Friday is what?
The end of the quarter.
This Friday is the end of the grading period, the end of the quarter. And let's just say she doesn't have an A. So this is why having a vision is super important, because we start to learn where have we been derailed, right? Where do I need to step up? Because again, what you don't want to happen, what I don't want to have happen to you, because you were showing your emotions when you were tearful because you felt bad, that I felt bad because I know you don't think that I'm a bad mom.
Mhm.
That's how I shame myself. I'm a bad mom. And why we're having this show is because I don't want you to feel like you're a bad student. 2 things that need to happen here for everybody, including me, is when we have to get really clear on our vision. I know that I want to have a really rich relationship with you, that's having these conversations. And a rich relationship means like having family time, going to church. It's important for our entire family. Showing up for your soccer games. That's super important. It's how we know. And your vision is to be a student that is trying her hardest. And you probably know there's obviously things that you can do. Get a calculator that works, maybe less social time. When we have the vision, what the universe likes to do is to show you every little thing in this current reality of what is not a match to that vision. And then we get to work on it, right? Because then we get to work on the thinking. Because I don't want to always feel Catholic guilt. And I don't always want to feel mom guilt, nor do you always want to feel like you're not a good student or ever going to pass. We have to learn to work with our thinking. We have the vision, which is the design, until we work with the thinking, and that's called constructive thinking. So, how can we work with the constructive thinking? Let's just end with that. What I'd like to do is to end with your scripture here, and then I'll share with you how to work with the thinking.
Okay. It's Genesis 3:10. And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself.
How I'm interpreting that is that when we feel naked and he hid himself, when he feels naked, he's obviously feels ashamed of something. And then he hides. In that scripture, can he so-called correct the situation, heal that situation of feeling the shame from feeling naked if he hides? Can he correct or heal from that? No, because he's there. If you're hiding from
Yeah.
something, you're gonna hide from it, right? This is why if I didn't have this conversation, Sabrina, I would have just hidden behind mom guilt and I would have just overcompensated with buying you Lululemon shorts. But that would never take the place, let's just say that would never take the place of me showing up at your soccer game,
Mhm.
right? And really knowing the vision, having this constructive thinking, changing the thinking in the way that now I know, like my constructive thinking is going to be my schedule sometimes hasn't allowed me to show up for your games, but I am going to make adjustments now
Mhm.
to be able to show up for those soccer games and whatever else that you want to share that I know is important to you, like curling your hair. And you never asked me to curl your hair.
'Cause I think you're gonna burn me.
I'm kidding. All right. So, how I'd like to end is to ask our audience to rate, review our show. We are on YouTube, so that would be for you to subscribe. And then also on podcast or anywhere you listen to our show would be to rate, review, and just helps us with visibility because I know that mom guilt is a real thing and the pressures that girls have is a real thing. And no, there's no quick fixes to it. But what is super supportive is having these conversations, these really tough conversations. And I know that Sabrina, seeing you show your emotions like that, it really hit home as far as in my mind, well, my constructive thinking and how I can really show up for you better. Because all of a sudden, like they say that the days go by super slow, but the years go by super fast. And next thing you know, you're going to be in college. And then I'm going to have
One child at home.
what?
One child
One
at home.
child at home. And then, yeah, and that's it. There was a quote that I heard today. There's no such thing as balance, but there is something about making memories. I'm totally paraphrasing. These kind of memories is super important for me to be able to feel like I'm showing up and to help to ease the mom guilt. And yeah, so thank you for that. This is super enlightening for me. I thought that Lululemon shorts was a way to hide from my mom guilt.
I'll take it
You'll
then.
take it though. She'll still take it. All right. Thanks everyone. Bye for now.